It's Patrick Legreed from Halfwheel, back with another cigar lighter review, and this time it's from a company that I'm guessing you haven't heard of, and that company is called Maven. Now, I ran into this company at the 2022 Tobacco Plus Expo. They were set up in the portion of the hall that houses tobacco alternatives, as opposed to the portion where the cigar manufacturers and cigar accessories are located. Now, Maven is based in Los Angeles, and like most accessory companies, makes its products in China. On the whole, the brand seems to focus on larger lighters that appear to be geared towards consumers of certain forms of cannabis where large flames with high temperatures are required. They do have a sibling brand called Zuper, spelled Xuper, that makes smaller lighters that seem better suited towards cigars, but today we're talking about this lighter, the Maven Space. It's a freestanding tabletop lighter that offers a very large single flame torch, as you can see right there. There's a flame adjust and a locking ignition, which will both prevent the ignition from being squeezed as well as keep the flame burning without requiring the ignition to be pressed. But that's about it as far as features. You can refill it down there on the bottom, but there's no punch cutter, there's no fuel window. Given who this lighter seems to be targeted towards, I'm not terribly surprised that those things aren't on this lighter. As far as its dimensions, it measures about 6 3/4 inches tall, just under 5 inches wide, and about 1.5 inches thick at the base. It weighs 9 ounces, giving it a fairly hefty feel in the hand, and certainly matching up with what you might expect from a tabletop lighter, although the body of the lighter does feel a bit lighter than you might think. So, it's a good build, but it's not super, super hefty. Now, it comes in 7 colors: black, white, red, blue, beige, midnight green, and this yellow option. And all the colors are right here where you can see the yellow part is. The base is the same on all the color options. Each option has a MSRP of $39.99, and it comes with a 1-year warranty against defects in material or workmanship. Now, it's a very straightforward lighter to use. First thing you gotta do is make sure the ignition isn't locked. And if you put it up there, then it's locked, and what that means is it will not allow the lighter to ignite. You will get a little bit of butane to squeeze through, but you cannot ignite the lighter when it's locked. So again, slide that down, simply squeeze the trigger, and you have yourself a big single flame torch lighter. Now, I'll turn the lights down so you can get a little bit better look at that flame. And this is about halfway up the flame adjustment scale. I'm going to talk about that more in a bit. But as you can see, it has a decent point. It is a fairly big lighter, and it puts off a lot of heat. I can already feel the little video booth that I'm using here starting to get kind of warm. I don't think I'm catching anything on fire, but we'll find that out in a minute. But again, it's not a crazy flame. I've certainly seen a lot of fairly bigger flames, and I accidentally just nudged that flame adjuster down a little bit. But in terms of ignition, very good, solid, reliable. There's plenty of butane getting up to the flame. So real reliable in that regard. But again, it is a lot of flame. You can light a cigar from a couple inches away easily with this lighter. So let's get the lights up just a little bit there. Now, as I said, it's very straightforward lighter to use. Just make sure the ignition isn't locked. Make sure your flame adjustment is set properly. As you can see, that's a little more than half. I would probably set it right about half to start. Here's one of the big problems I have with the Space. Is if you go down there, you get that. And there is just no way to get that lighter to ignite when that setting is that low. Now, what that means is that you're starting with a fairly good amount of lighter. So I think you got to put it about halfway and just kind of find a spot, and don't do like I did and accidentally nudge it, because if you do, you will see the lighter will just go out. Now, while I think the Maven Space is a pretty good lighter on the whole, its biggest drawback when it comes to cigars should be pretty obvious. And that is that it is just too big and too much flame for most cigars. Now look, if you're smoking 60, 70 ring gauge cigars made with heavy tobaccos, that statement does not apply to you. If you're hosting a cigar event, you need to get a lot of cigars lit up in a short amount of time, that statement does not apply to you. But if you smoke a lot of Lanceros, Lonsdales, Coronas, cigars with light to medium tobaccos in them, I just wouldn't recommend the Maven Space. It's going to char it. You may char the sides of the cigar. It's just going to be too much lighter. This is really geared towards a different market. And for as excited as I was seeing this new brand, or fairly new brand, and lighters that looked like things I've seen in cigar shops, again, this one it probably over-delivers for this segment. Now, beyond that, the build quality is good, but there is something making some noise internally. Not like a screw or anything, but just like something's loose. I don't know if it's having any effect on the flame or the performance. It doesn't seem to be, but I certainly don't like hearing things rattle around inside my lighter. As I mentioned, the flame adjuster, super easy to use, probably one of the best functions or features on this lighter. But again, it doesn't give you nearly the range it would suggest. You got to be at halfway or up. And again, at halfway, you're still kicking out too much flame. Anything more than that, again, just a lot of flame. And I say that too, in that, like, if you're a person like me who tends to have a cigar in their mouth and likes to light it with, and give it a few puffs, I don't want this thing pointed at my face. I'm just not really comfortable with that. So again, too much flame for your cigar, too much flame for my personal preferences. So while I like the Maven Space for some reasons, I don't necessarily think it fits the bill as a cigar lighter. It certainly has a lot of cool features. If you want to make creme brulees, you need to do some light, soldering or jewelry repair, or who knows what you might need a torch flame for. Great option. But I think this is probably going to be spending more time in my toolbox or a kitchen drawer than it is anywhere around my cigars. So again, this is the Maven Space. Thanks for checking out this review. And for complete coverage of the premium cigar industry, be sure to check out halfwheel.com.